Hey, Facebook land or IX Ambassador land. This isn't full on Facebook land. I hope you're having a great day. I am Meg Mankey, COO and Head of Training for Rose Group International. And I am also doing the live today by myself. Rachel is traveling. She was in Huron, South Dakota, doing some training and education with one of our IX Ambassador Facilitator Certificate people. We do have to figure out a better name for that. If you have any names, let us know. That would be great. Any suggestions? We only take suggestions. We're more of a survey and poll kind of group. We're not really a vote kind of group. So, but let us know if you have any good ideas for IXAF certified folks, because that's what we've been calling them. That seems kind of weird. Hello, thanks for joining. For those of you who have joined, I'm going to quickly check the event log because this is my favorite thing when this live stuff doesn't work. Live service. Okay, so it looks like everything's on. Cool. Announcements before we start. First announcement I would like to make is a shout out to all the new members. Not that we don't love our OG members. And then the ones in between and all the things, but holy buckets, we have a ton of new members all of a sudden. And the new members, just saying OGs, the new members really did a bang up job of saying who they are and what they're doing here and all the things. So if you feel like you got left out and you didn't get your opportunity to say who you were in our IX Ambassador group, please take a moment to do it. We would love to hear from you. Rachel is calling right now, so this is going to be a funny little thing. Hello? I'm doing the live.
Hi, everybody.
Yeah, well, I told them you were calling, so I had to answer, but I'll call you when we get done.
Okay, sorry.
I know. It's okay.
Okay,
Okay, bye.
okay, bye.
If you couldn't hear, Rachel said hello, everyone. She's actually in a different time zone right now in Central Time, and time zones are like her kryptonite. She can't process that. So, of course, it's not 2 o'clock where she is in her mind. So, if you want to put a post on our IX Ambassador group that says all the amazing things that you do and who you are and what your culture type is, then you should take an opportunity to do that. Find one of the strings where we've invited the new people and put your stuff in the comment. And shout out to the folks who are new because you did an awesome job putting that all in there. Other announcements. Rachel's got a project management class coming up in September. If you're really interested to understand how project management works and you're thinking, I don't do project management, I don't know anything about it, that's silly. And this class is not... I know, Karen, you really struggle with that. I mean, not because you're always moving between time zones. But if you want to know about project management and how to really think about workflow and motivating people through change, Rachel's class is incredible. It's in Rapid City. It's a live class. There's a 2-day section and a 3-day section, and you can do all 5 days together. What other announcements do we have? We have been doing a ton of client work. I've got some really exciting engagements coming up in September and October. So does Rachel. We are going to be around the Black Hills area during the rally. Typically, we all kind of head out, but we are going to be around. And so that'll be fun to hear the constant roar of our economy go hog wild for 2 weeks. So here's the deal. I haven't seen Shelly today, and she's usually the one that tells us what the announcements are going to be. So I don't do good at this by myself. So those are announcements I have right now. And our group is over 400, and it's actually closer to 500, or maybe it is 500. But I think we should really shoot for the next 100, whether that's 5 or 6. So please invite people to join. And as long as they're real humans and not bots and not some other sort of weird thing, where it's not a person, we totally want them in here to learn about what IX leadership means, and that, our real goal is business leadership domination of the world. Maybe not in those terms. Oh, Shelly says I'm good, so I have announced all the things that she has on her list, which is a miracle. A few little side notes before I get started that are not necessarily announcements. A friendly reminder, please if you have a moment, go on to Amazon and give us a book review under our IX Leadership book. We would really appreciate it. If you do happen to leave feedback there, let us know what you'd like to hear about next. We're starting to think about ideas for our next book. So what things do you want to hear? If you don't leave it there, you can certainly leave it in the comments on the IX Ambassador page. If you don't like us in all the other places, you sure can. We've got Rose Group pages on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, yes, and Instagram. Social media is my kryptonite, so hello. And then we have personal pages, of course, on all those places. And we actually have an IX leadership page on Facebook too, so you can check that one out. Okay, I think that's it for that. So today, Shelley tells me, I'm talking about your own career growth and advancements, and what does that really mean, and how do I make sure I'm doing it right, or that I am doing it, or am I doing it the way I'm supposed to do it, or the way other people say I'm supposed to do it? So I'm going to talk about that today. And what I'm going to do right now for 2 seconds is pull up the questions that are in the group, because it seems reasonable that I should make sure I answer those. It would also seem reasonable if I could find them. Oh, here they are. Okay. And one more. So, the first thing I want to say, I wrote an article, well, unintentionally. I kind of meant to write a long post on LinkedIn, and it turned into an article, so you're welcome. It's called Learn Like a Kid, Grow Like a Rock Star. And I put in there some sort of tips and tricks that I used to grow in my career. And so I always think about, like, when you turn into an adult, people say, well, you lose that naivety, and you kind of, you have more real experiences, and you have more failures, or you're let down more often. And so then you kind of start to develop this perspective of what the world is like with that new set of rules. I think that in terms of growing your career and growing yourself personally, it's important as much as you can to sort of let go of that and those social norms and those rules. And that's why I titled the article Learn Like a Kid, because kids have this really incredible way of learning. They watch other people and they listen. Like when I watch Peyton watch her soccer coach, and I'm here to tell you, Peyton doesn't really listen to anyone, but she really likes soccer, and she's really interested in knowing how to be better. So when she listens to her soccer coach, she's really intently listening to hear about the things that she should do differently. And if he said, really what you should do every day is, run 3 laps around the local park so you're in better shape, she would just go do that. So there's some magic to it, of course, where it's, you're kind of throwing off those social norms and doing what's right. And then there's some where you have to actually apply some common sense. Because I wouldn't want her to do that if it was, say, 100 degrees out at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So I think, learning like a kid, or learning about yourself and growing in your own career and your own personal development has a lot to do with kind of learning like a kid and listen to everything that comes in. So a few of the tips that I put on here that have helped me. So always assume you're wrong until you've proven to yourself that you're right. And what I mean by that is not having confidence in yourself, but actually, assuming that you can learn something from everywhere, that, you don't really know everything. I think that's the biggest mistake that we make as we grow in our career. You kind of you get out of college and think, all right, I got this under control. And even though you kind of don't, you still almost have to fake to yourself that you do. And it's okay if you fake it to other people, but don't fake it to yourself. Like, don't let your ego get in the way of your ability to grow. So if someone knows something that you don't know anything about, even if that person drives you crazy, maybe they are a different culture type than you. Maybe you're order tolerant and they're chaos tolerant, or maybe they're team driven and they're all the time working with people, and you're self-driven and you're thinking, That person is just flat crazy. They might seem flat crazy to you, and that's fine. But if they know something about a software implementation that you don't know anything about, or they know something about, I don't know, engineering, employment law, say, I don't care what it is. If they know something you don't know and you want to know more about that, go learn from them. Do not let your ego get in the way. Assume you're wrong or that you don't know enough until you've proven to yourself that you know enough about that thing, and then you can move on. Then you can say, yep, check that box. I feel good about that right now. And I think that's another really important thing. You don't have to, every step that you take every day adds up to something, right? There's a culmination of all of this. But every step that you take every day, while it's intended to reach a goal maybe that's out here, it doesn't have to be the thing that reaches that goal. So what you learn today might be enough for now. And maybe then you learn something tomorrow or in 6 months or whenever it is. But always be listening, always be learning, always assume you're wrong until you feel satisfied that you've proven yourself right. So that's my first tip. I wrote this, but I can't remember it. Look for opportunities, don't expect them. So this is kind of where my accountability, no excuses bone sticks out. I have a real issue with people who kind of, feel like there aren't opportunities. When I moved back to Belle Fourche, South Dakota, with a big fancy degree, I thought, well, I'll never use this here. So that's fine, but we're here and it is what it is. And then I decided, you know what, that seems silly. I have lots of really good opportunities all around me. I volunteered on a couple of different boards. I was already doing this. I didn't go seek these out. I was already doing this. And I thought, well, I'm in a leadership role in these places, so I should be learning from this opportunity and thinking about opportunities to grow myself in that way. So if you're in a place where, there's a difference between feeling stuck in your job within an organization and feeling, and so there's a difference between that, actually being stuck in your job and then not doing anything to actually help yourself grow in your career. And so you could be in a job that maybe you've been in for 10, 15 years, and you're thinking, man, I feel bored about this. I don't feel like I'm getting opportunities I need in the organization. And there's truth to that, right? So you have to investigate that. Assume you're wrong until you prove yourself right. But then on the other side of it, think about all the other opportunities that you have or you've created in your life, and what are you doing with those opportunities? So if you're on a board, don't just think, I'm on a board. Think about all the dynamic people and all the different culture types and all the change that boards are always going through. How can you sort of study that or use that opportunity as a case study to think about implementing different projects or understanding people in a different way or suggesting things when there's a moment of conflict? Like, you're constantly, as an adult, you're constantly in opportunities to challenge yourself. And so look for all of those opportunities. Don't just assume, don't expect them, don't just assume they're going to come into your little world. They might already be there and you're just not looking for them. Or if they're not already there and you want to make them, go make them. Because career advancement is not just about being paid more, and it's not just about being promoted at your job. It's about really the satisfaction that you feel in what you've committed, kind of your life's work. Like, what is the theme of your career? The theme and arc of my career, even though I have a finance degree, initially, and a business ethics degree, the theme of my career has been really helping people and helping people, sorry, Shelly, not shit themselves about what's going on in their life, in their business, in their department, whatever it is. Like, that's the theme of my career. So how then, in my life and my career, can I continue to serve that theme and help other people with that theme in mind? And then the last tip, wait for it, get and stay off your tuchus. So nothing drives me more crazy than people who make excuses about, well, so-and-so got the promotion because it was right place, right time. Or, well, I would have gotten that job or that promotion, but, I went on vacation and then they promoted him. You stop it right now. You don't get to be in this group if you think like that. I don't know how to find you, but if I find you, You're out of here. Listen, you get to choose. You get to decide every day, every moment, how you are progressing in your career and in your life. That has nothing to do with other people. Now, I'm not saying that sometimes stuff doesn't happen, and stuff sometimes doesn't happen in our favor. But all that really means is that you need to change your perspective in the universe and look for a new opportunity, because apparently that wasn't the right one for you. And people say God directs you or the universe directs you or what. I don't care. I don't care who's directing you. You get to be in charge, though, of that direction and where it's taking you. And so please, don't make excuses. Don't say, oh, well, Johnny's the luckiest guy in the world. He just always gets everything. Johnny is trying for that. Lucky people don't just get lucky. They make luck. If you want to have a debate about luck later, Shelly and I debate about this all the time. So if you wanted to have a debate about luck later, you let me know. I would love to trash whatever opposite ideas you have about that. But I really think that it's important for your own mindset to not make excuses about where you're going in your life and your career. Because the moment you start to make tiny little excuses, they get bigger and they get bigger and they get bigger. And you know who you think you're worried about caring? All the people around you. You know who you really are worried about caring about that? You. You don't want to let yourself go down that rabbit hole of excuses. And so if you start, it's really hard to stop. Find people that will support you in that. So yesterday morning, here's a great story. I have to shut this door. 1 second. Yesterday morning, I needed to go for an 8-mile run. Dave, if you're still on here, you're really going to appreciate this story. I had to go for an 8-mile run. I went for a 15-mile run on Sunday. I did not feel like going for an 8-mile run, like ever again in my life, but especially not 48 hours after I'd just been 15-mile run. One that was pretty crummy. And so I thought, you know what? I could make excuses, which I made like 15 of them in my head. And even Quillen was going to take me up Spearfish Canyon so I could run, and he had to leave. And I'm like, just go. I don't think I'm going to do it. So I'm standing around my house, milling around, feeling dumb and sorry for myself. And I thought, I know what I'll do. I'll call Rachel because she won't let me get away with this. So I called her and I said, I need your help. I need you to tell me that I need to go on an 8-mile run and make it justified that I have to do this. And so, of course, she helped me do that. And I told her, I thought that I should call you because I know that you're really good at making me do things I don't want to do. So find those people in your life that will help you support yourself, because sometimes it's hard to support yourself in your own career, because sometimes it means doing things you don't like to do, like maybe going back to school, maybe getting a certification, maybe going networking. Maybe it's that you need to read more books or meet more people, or who knows what it is. But find someone who will support you in doing the things you need to do to support yourself. And so learn like a kid is kind of the way I think about growing my career. There've been a lot of social conformities put to, you can't do this, or you can't ask for a promotion, or, you got to wait your turn. Well, for those of you who know me, I'm not good at waiting any turn. And I think that I want to make sure I'm always making it my turn. And I get to choose that. And what that turn ends up being, I might not always get to choose that, but I get to decide how and when I want to grow. And I think that is the most valuable, lesson I've learned that has supported me the most in my career growth. So I would encourage all of you to do the same thing. Now, if you're saying, oh, well, that's cute, Meg, but you're culture or chaos tolerant and I'm not. Well, sure, but I'm actually not that chaos tolerant. And if you think about how challenges show up for you in your life. If you're chaos tolerant, they just come and they fly by and you're kind of grabbing a hold at all of them, and you grab a little bit of each one, and maybe one, the one that finally kind of starts to stick, that's great. If you're order tolerant, they're all flying by and they're going so fast, you kind of start to feel like you're getting motion sickness. And so you finally just you reach out and you grab one and you hold on to it and you kind of look at it like, oh God, I wish I could put this back. Well, put it back and grab another one. Or if you really want to try it, think about those opportunities, those career growth opportunities and advancement opportunities. If you're order tolerant, that freaks you out, think about it as an opportunity to organize chaos, right? So it might feel chaotic to do something new. That's okay. The reason that you work well in the environment that you do is because you organize chaos as an order tolerant person. So figure out how to organize that chaos instead of just saying, oh my God, it's so chaotic, I can't even think about it. Okay, now for the questions. Should I have a mentor or a professional coach? Yeah, you definitely should. But it should be somebody who will dedicate some time to having conversations with you. If it's a mentor, so if you're looking for someone to be a mentor, and that's a nonprofit. That's a not paid. I'm your mentor. I'm going to teach you some things or tell you stories to help you understand how I've learned and processed situations. Find a mentor that you respect and trust. You can interview a mentor. I asked someone a long time ago to be my mentor, and it was even someone I knew, and it was kind of scary. Like I felt like I was asking somebody on a date. And the conversation sort of went down this path. Well, was, of course, and I would be honored. But let's make sure I'm the right person to be your mentor. So we actually kind of almost had an interview or a first date. So in order for it to not be really weird, you can say, hey, I really appreciate where you are in your career. I'd like to learn more about how you got there. Could I take you lunch or coffee and learn more about that? I'd just love to hear some of your stories. People love to talk about themselves, so it's definitely going to work out in your favor. And then after that kind of trial run, you can ask them to be your mentor. So I think the thing that goes wrong the most with mentorships, though, is that the mentee does not hold the accountability and responsibility for making sure that the relationship is maintained. And so the job of the mentor is to share stories and help you, kind of sculpt your own way. The mentee's responsibility then is to make sure that you're actually setting up times to meet and doing things. This is my opinion. I also think I'm right. So take that for what it's worth. I think if you're going to ask for a mentor, expect that it's your responsibility to maintain that relationship. I mean, in terms of logistics and stuff. Professional coaches are great. We do lots of professional coaching in our organization. Rachel and I both do, and it gives you a really great objective perspective if you have a good professional coach. It's not good if you have one that just tells you everything you're doing is right. But I think that you're all in here, so you're all smart enough to find one that's not just going to tell you everything you're doing is right. You want somebody who's going to actually challenge you and ask you thought-provoking questions so you have an opportunity to grow. So yeah, professional coaches are incredible. And again, interview lots of them. I mean, there are people that resonate with my style of communication and the way I am, and there are people that don't. And there are people that really resonate with Rachel, and there are people that don't. And, maybe you want a man or a woman or whatever it is. I don't know. Maybe you don't want an engineer coach or something, but you are an engineer. Or be thoughtful about picking your coach if you're going to pick one. Don't be afraid to interview and decide which one you like. How can I help others grow professionally? Well, I'd say the number one way is to challenge people. Because really, if we just got to live in a vacuum where we always thought we were right, then we would never really grow because we wouldn't have to. So I think challenging people is the best way to help them grow. Of course, I could probably do a day's worth of talking at a minimum on how to challenge people appropriately and how to not tick people off. Because really then, there is a way to challenge and there's a way not to challenge. And if you don't do it the right way, then you're just going to make people mad. And then that doesn't encourage them to grow either. It actually insulates them into thinking that what they thought in the first place was right, because all they're thinking about is that you're being a jerk. So, I would say challenge people. If you're in a leadership role, and you're wondering how to grow people professionally, like your people, send them to different kinds of training. Send them to opportunity. Make sure, again, this is all, you got to make sure it's worth it. You got to make sure you're getting your money's worth. But um, send them to different kinds of training and send them to stuff they wouldn't normally go to. We bid on a lot of opportunities to speak at different associations. And if it's a specific association, so let's say some real estate association, and you contact the event coordinator and they say, well, gosh, we never had anybody come talk about, leadership development, for brokers or in their teams or whatever. And you say, oh, okay, well, how do things go? Maybe things are really great. No, not really great. There's turnover and there's infighting and whatever. So then we say, oh, well, maybe that'd be something cool to put in your next summit. So send people to stuff that maybe they don't think about on a daily basis. I mean, all the technical stuff about your job is really important, but a real opportunity to grow is where you're challenged, as I said before, and you have an opportunity to think about, could I say opportunity one more freaking time, please? You have a chance to learn about something that you are not maybe an expert on, and that's where you really stretch your wings. Okay, how can I use my professional network to learn and grow my skill set? Ask people questions. Ask them questions about what they do. Another cool thing to do, ask people for tours of their workplace, or to meet with a couple of folks. Just introduce me to a couple of folks in your workplace. I'd love to just go have coffee and learn something new from them. Again, people love to talk about themselves and they love to talk about what they're successful at, which typically is something to do with their career. So ask questions, ask for tours of workplaces, and like maybe it's somebody in an accounting, in an accounting business, or maybe it's a bank, and they're like, well, there's not really anything too exciting here. Well, excitement, I guess, is in the eye of the beholder, because I've never actually been, I think I actually have been in a bank vault, but if you hadn't been in a bank vault ever, it'd be pretty flippin' cool to be in one. I just took a tour of a manufacturing plant, a timber manufacturing plant, and I was like, I grew up through mining, and I thought, well, it'll be something like that, lots of belts and conveyors and people running widgets and people doing physical work and things. But it was incredible. It was so incredible and insightful to see something I'd never seen before and how it works. And it made me think about all these different things. And I met new people and they recommended different books that I'd never even heard of. So it's just important to ask questions and be curious about what's going on around you. I'm sure Shelly and Rachel's not listening because she's driving, but if she ever listens to this later, it will be really funny for them to hear me say, be curious about other people. Because I always say, actually, as an independent, I don't really care what other people are doing. But, I do care in so much as it helps me gain insight into, other people's perspectives in parts of the world. So be curious. And does my culture type affect how I learn and process information? Well, of course it does. We wrote a whole book about that. So it definitely does. It definitely, your culture type kind of molds how you prefer to experience the world, particularly from a work setting. So I'm an independent, I'm self-driven and chaos tolerant. So I prefer time to process information. So if somebody's talking to me and giving me new ideas, I'm chaos tolerant, so it's super, all of it is exciting. All of it seems really cool. And I just can't wait to get home so I can sit down and start Googling all this stuff and looking up the books they've said and thinking, looking for connections between, what I do and how I experience the world and what they do and how they experience the world. So that's very different though than Rachel, who is a fixer. And Rachel, because she's a fixer, she's team driven. And so she's constantly asking people really smart questions, like on the spot, about what they're talking about. Like, oh, well, how do you do this? And why is that important? And what happens here? And what happens next? And I'm always standing there thinking, how are you even coming up with these questions? Like, I'm still trying to figure out how to process all this information and make use of it. And Rachel's team driven and chaos tolerant, so she just going with it in her head all the time, and it just all bubbles out to the top. And so she's asking all these questions, and that's how she learns. And then stabilizers and organizers again are very different. They're probably thinking about a lot of questions, but they might not ask them until they have time to really think that they got them down pat, and they want to ask the right questions. That's maybe organizers more than stabilizers. Stabilizers are probably okay to be thinking about questions and ask a few of them right away because they want to know what's going on, and they're team driven, so they kind of prefer that team engagement or ability to opportunity, chance to engage with somebody right away about some new idea and understand it immediately. So yeah, definitely your culture type impacts how you experience the world and how you learn things, for sure. So let's see, that's all the questions for the day. Does anybody have any other questions they'd like to add right now? I will wait 2.5 seconds. Okay, no other questions. Thank you for joining me, and I guess I'm by myself, today to talk about learning and professional skill sets and how to really grow yourself in your career. I won't say I hope you learned something because I'm sure you did. And I want you to go out and lead powerfully and change the world. Have a great rest of your week. Ta-ta.